We left off last week with the most amazing conversation about change and about what it takes to sustain change, how we can sustain change, and also the dance between aloneness of change, the aloneness that is required for change, or as Larry likes to say, all oneness, and the and the and the dance we do with the relationships, because we sometimes feel alone, but we're never really alone, even if we walk into a grocery store or we walk into work or we walk into our kitchen and our cat is sitting there. So how do we sustain change? How do we move through those periods of aloneness and those periods of interaction to get the support we need, to build the energy we need, to build the connections we need to see the change? This is a lot of questions. All right, let's clean this up. How is everybody today?
Morning.
I'm good, Jenny.
Yeah, we're all, it's summer. We've been, some of us are taking driving trips. We're on the move. We're seeing how energy is moving in us and around us. And the big question about change is a deep one.
Yeah.
We all see changes as they happen. Some of them we like, some of them we don't like. So how do we sustain the ones we want?
Yeah, absolutely. So the metaphor that came to me this morning as we were chatting with each other was that I came back to this ancient African sort of idea about the sun and the sunrise and the sunset. And what it shows us is, as the sun rises and it sets, it's like this reminder that creation, right, is a continuous process, right? So we're always in this process of creating. Like, there's some things that are breaking down and some things that are coming together, but it's continuous. So if we sort of thought of change as something that's always happening, whether it seems big to us or small, whether it seems like we're going deep inside of ourselves or we're just on the surface, that might actually make it easier for us to go into those things that feel a little harder to change. Like, it's a constant process, and we can even chip away at it small, and then we can kind of go down, right? But like the sun rises and sets, it's not like changes like we did it and it's over. It's like it sets, right? So there's like a darkness for some of us, right? There's a darkness when it sets, and then there's light again. So, right, that's the metaphor that came to me this morning.
Yeah, I mean, that's just, I think that's cool because, we're in a cycle of creation, of visible, invisible, all this stuff. I was thinking, I had a couple experiences recently that made me think about this too. One of them has to do with like readiness, something like readiness. Like you can participate in some kind of project for self-improvement, let's say. Maybe it's therapy, maybe it's one of our clients, right? And you can go on and go on and go on, and in some ways things don't seem like they're changing very much. Even if that person is taking on like some qigong practice, they don't really see that much change. And then suddenly, for reasons that are unclear, there's like this shift. And so in a way, we have to be alert to that moment. When is that? When something new is about to emerge. And we understand it as like, well, the foundation of the change we see is happening on levels we don't see. There's definitely things changing, but we don't see it yet. And we're not sensitive enough to see it. But when it emerges, it's like a volcano. There it is. You can see it. Big effect, but you didn't see all the things happening before. And, so it looks kind of miraculous when that happens. And mysterious at the same time, because we can't really predict when is that.
Yeah.
And when is that moment of new possibility going to happen, which would be like a sunrise? When's the new sunrise, going to appear?
Yeah. And that changes, right? The time of the rising, like the time of the rising sun changes for us all the time, right? It's like different seasons it changes. I love the whole idea that, again, the change is always happening. Sometimes it's just underneath the surface and we
Yeah.
don't see it. But if we trust that we're investing in it, right? We're investing in this place of knowing ourselves as whole, mind, body, and spirit working in this unity, figuring out this life, figuring out how to be in this part, right? In this world and make a difference in this world. If we trust that, then I think the change doesn't have to include suffering. I think the suffering is what brings us to the place of wondering if it's worth it or is it happening?
Say more about that. That I think suffering is so central and important.
Yeah. That sort of idea that it hasn't happened yet, so it's probably not going to happen. Or, right. So then we just start to question. And when we do that, we're beginning now to like shut ourselves kind of down in the darkness. And we can't really see anything that might still be going on, or maybe even delay the process, right? But if we can see that this change is happening, even though it's not always visible to us, then we can have a little bit more relaxed sense of possibility
Mhm.
and a more openness to, and openly curious to what is going to happen, even feeling a little bit delighted. It reminds me of how when we do Dragon's Dance Between Heaven and Earth, Master Lu says, with a slight smile on your face, right? So there's something about that action of the slight smile. Like as psychologists, we would say, you know, we could easily say the nervous system now recognizes you're doing something that's associated with joy, with ease, right? And so your body is going to begin to reflect that. But at an energetic level, practicing Qigong, we know that that slight smile, again, right, it's a signal, it's a representation of something that's much deeper. So we can release, I think, if we find ways to release the suffering, then I think the change just begins to feel like this is our constant process of evolving.
Yeah. The smile is so great. I mean, I think it's such an important, it's such a, in a way, a little thing in that practice. It's almost like a throwaway, but it's very central to the effect, right? And so it kind of fits in the in the Dr. Sandra school of change, like just do something small and keep at it, and you know, eventually look at the smile you have, like eventually turns into that smile, you know, and that's fantastic. So you know, so that, but you know, the thing is, like when we do those in the context of a Qigong movement, and you add the smile, like a lot of the things we're doing in Qigong are outside, right? They're visible outside changes. And we do them because we're told that they are connecting to energy systems, energy movement inside your body, or they're enhancing them. So we want to do that because that's the foundation. We want to make a connection to something that's actually real and true, that's not governed by our mind. That's really the part I want to emphasize. I think that when we get stuck and we think, oh, this change is never going to happen, that's almost always a reflection of a belief. And that's connected, if it's deep enough, it's connected to you know, our sense of ourself, our definition of ourself, which means like, if I change, I have to really let go of some understanding I have about who I am, which is all on the mental level. And you know, all these things that we're talking about, like the movement of the sun or the movement of the seasons or the change that's intrinsic to life itself, that's not relying on our ego. But we really want to act as if it's not true. You know, like we are separate. That, you know, and then it's you know, in our at least my growing understanding is like that's essentially unnatural. Right? There's the natural process and there's the unnatural framing that we give it.
Yeah.
And we can live in a world that's entirely unnatural.
I'm going to throw a story in here that kind of, it's like a real life story, and see if I can also get on screen here. So I have a birthday coming up, and I was, you know, cleaning out. I've been cleaning out a lot of stuff, cleaning out photos on my phone. I have a birthday coming up, and I've been noticing some changes in my body. as I am moving through this world. And I'm kind of was feeling a little distressed, like about some of the things I was seeing happen around my face and around different parts of my body. And I was like, oh, this is what it's going to be like changing as I get older. And these are changes that I can't avoid. And these are changes that, are definitely happening because I'm getting older. And I started cleaning out photos of myself, and I realized from photos 2 years ago, I look a hell of a lot better than I did 2 years ago. And it was all in my mind. And I was really suffering and thinking like, oh God, I'm going to be a shriveled old, toothless old woman, And really, I gotta say, what I was discriminating, as Master Lewis says, it was all about the self-discrimination. It was all about, the beliefs that I was bringing to this that were really not actually even reflected in reality. And the preparation that I've been doing for getting older, for this day by day change is you're right, Larry. I've met some requirements because I've been preparing all along for these kinds of changes and doing it mindfully and doing it with love. And so I love that idea when the discomfort hits, when that pain point hits, Dr. Sandra, how can we just get out of our heads, turn to the joy, get a little smile on our face, or if we're lucky, find a piece of evidence that just sends our ego out the door.
Yes. Clean out your photographs and discover how much you're actually better than you were. Right?
It's true, but the process of change is sometimes uncomfortable. And so, we're so lucky to be able to go through these natural cycles. And
I mean,
yeah.
And the thing that hit me as Larry was talking was that when we fight against this kind of natural movement, that is just what nature does, right? Like nature's not fighting, the sun's not fighting to stay in the same position, right? And we're fighting to stay in the same position. So we're literally, that literally is working against nature. But if we just go with this flow, like the sun keeps showing us every day, it's gonna glow, right? And so we go with this, we just keep going with the flow of change and just keep recognizing how we're glowing. Just keep seeing those little ways that we're glowing. Like, that just changed my whole life this morning. Thank you both.
Guys, it is time for us to call it quits.
Hey, Jenny, before we do, I know, I just want to say something that you're pointing out that to me is really important. If you wanted to know that you changed so much over the 2 years, you could have just asked me. And I would have told you, no, this is what's important. Or Sandra, we would have told you, you're so much different.
For real?
But you had to find it yourself.
Right, I wouldn't have believed you. You're right.
That's what's beautiful about your story.
I had to find it myself.
Absolutely.
That's to me, that's what's beautiful about your story. That's
I absolutely agree. Once you see it yourself, it's all good.
That's right.
Then nothing can take it away. Nothing
can take it. It's yours. You owned it.
That's right. Wow.
All right, friends. Well, we will be back again next week with all this love. It's just so beautiful. Everybody have a great week.
See you next
Thank
week.
you. Thank you. Bye, Dr. Sandra.
Bye,
Dr. Larry. Bye, Jenny.
Bye.